Huddly huddly, neighborinos. It's been a while, I know. I've been working on 5 things. I now have them. It's just been probably, I've had a lot of berserk times in my life over the years here and there. This has absolutely, without a doubt, been the most nutso time of my life. And as you can see, the background behind me is even more weird and barren than it was in my last couple videos. I'm very close to telling you what this is all about, but in the near future, we'll do an explanation video. But anyways, let's get into these 5 things. We've got some good stuff. First up, a book released in 2023, Star Wars Jedi, Battle Scars. This book features Cal Kestis and the crew of the Mantis, Grease, Seer, Marin, and Cal's droid, little droid BD-1, in between the 2 games. So Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was the first game, Star Wars Jedi Survivor was the second game, and I just finished playing that, I don't know, a few months back or whatever. I think there's a 5-year gap between the games, and this book falls somewhere in the middle of that time frame. So the crew is in the middle, as the book starts off, the crew is in the middle of one of their next missions, of freedom fighting missions. They're on some sort of asteroid base run by the Haxion Brood, which is like a crime syndicate. I forget what the purpose of it is, but they're in the middle of this mission as the book starts out, and things go awry eventually, and they have to do a quick exfiltration. Along the way, they pick up a stormtrooper named Fret. She's not a Twi'lek, I think she's a Chagrian or something like that. I think she's got head tails. She's one of those species. And she's like, I want to defect. I don't want to be with the Empire anymore. I've heard about your crew and all the good you're doing for the rebellion and you know, against the Empire sort of thing. I want to help. And I think you can help me as well. So there's a lot of mixed feelings about her. Marin seems to take a liking to her, but Grease is super like, no way. Cal's somewhere in the middle. He doesn't trust her. He doesn't want to take her, but he's still a Jedi. He's still listening, sort of thing. So eventually, though, they do allow her to come with them, and she steers them towards the planet Hosnian Prime, which, as an aside, becomes the New Republic capital in the most recent Star Wars trilogy. But I don't consider that canon. Even though Disney says it's canon, it is not. All the books in the expanded universe that took place after Jedi, that's canon. Disney can say whatever the fuck they want, but Disney can go fuck themselves. The books are canon, and they should have taken that as canon and made the movies around those events, not completely gone off the board and made ridiculous movies. Anyways, a bit of Star Wars rage there. So on Hosnian Prime, there's this guy, I don't know, he's like a wealthy kind of broker, information guy or whatever. He wants the team to track down this device called the Shroud, which is a powerful piece of cloaking technology. If the Empire gets their hands on this, they can cloak their ships, slip in and out of systems where they know rebel activity to be, and strike at the rebels without them even seeing it coming, sort of thing. So, and this is a cause that the team is like, oh yeah, this is something we should do, right? So they head off on this mission, and this is where things get crazy. There's a lot of stuff going on emotionally with all of these characters. Marin takes a real liking to Fret, and Fret likewise to Marin, and they develop some sort of a relationship. During the action, the fifth brother, one of the Inquisitors, shows up and engages with them. Seer makes a poor choice that gets one of Grease's arms chopped off, so he's fuming about that. Seer feels bad. Cal's kind of stuck somewhere in the middle, feeling bad for everybody, but also curious about Marin and Fret's relationship, because we all know in that second game there's something going on between Marin and Cal as well that's taken a long time to percolate. So there's a lot of mixed emotions going on, all the while they're having to go on this mission to find this Shroud. Now, there's something that Fret hasn't told them, which comes out in the end, is that she is still actually a stormtrooper. She has not deserted. And the Shroud is actually not any sort of device that's on a schematic or anything. It's actually in the head of somebody That's where the idea, that's where all the information is. And this person's name is Irie or something like that. And this Irie is a former lover of Fret's. So there's this element to it all as well, which throws Marin into a tailspin when she finds this out. So there's all these feelings going on, all these emotions. Well, they're also in the middle of this big fight against the fifth brother and all the forces that come against them as they try to rescue Irie and sort things out. So, you know, in the original game, Jedi Fallen Order is when Cal escapes that junkyard planet and then finds Seer and all of his other compatriots that all become his family, and they're all tight-knit on this mantis. And then in Fallen Order, we all know they've gone their separate ways for various reasons, and they're kind of split apart. So this book is kind of in the middle, and it starts to show those cracks that eventually lead to this group separating and going their own ways. So it was kind of neat to see that kind of happen and everything. So really enjoyed the book, but it took me a long time to get through it because of everything that's going on that I will eventually explain to you. I've been so fucking tired, and I'd lie in bed at night and I'd read 5 pages, and then I'm like, and so it's a great book. I really enjoyed it, but I've been so fucking tired and so beat lately that it just took me way longer to read it than it normally would, sort of thing. So next up, me and my buddies, Josh and Simon, the brothers, we do this a couple times this summer. We go spend a night at Simon's house, get a little bit stoned, go watch a movie, have a good dinner, and the movie we chose to see at the theater this time around was fucking amazing, and it is called Alien Romulus. Romulus, like I said, it's brand new. I think it may still be in theaters at some places, but it takes place in between the original Alien movie and Aliens. So the movie opens with a brief kind of cutscene where we see a Weyland-Yutani team or probe or something visit the wreckage of the Nostromo, which is Ripley's ship that she blew up in the very first Alien movie to get away from that horrible creature. And they go in and infiltrate and find this big black block of resin, it looks like, and they extract it, and eventually they take it to this station or something and fiddle around with it, and we see them obviously extract a xenomorph from this artifact they brought back. So then this is about, I think, 20 years after the Alien movie, so the wreckage has been out there floating for a long time. Not long after that, in the future, we see the main characters in this movie, a girl named Rain and her adoptive brother Andy, who is actually not a cyborg, but what are they called? An android or whatever, who is very eccentric and kind of malfunctiony. They're on a planet called Jackson's Hole or Jackson's Point or something like that. LV-410, I think, is the actual designation for the planet, and they are mining there. Rain has finally completed all of her hours to gain her freedom from this job, and so she's ready to hand in her last pay and her duty and skip the planet. But of course, as she's doing this, the person that she's talking to is like, oh, quotas have just gone up, you're going to be here another 2 years or something like that. So she's like, for fuck's sake. So she goes back to her compound or whatever where all of her friends are. There's 4 of them. There's Tyler, Navarro, Kay, and somebody else. And they start talking to her about a plan they have. There's some wreckage of a station or a ship in orbit above their planet. And they think, if we can get up there and obtain the cryopods that are in this vessel, we could then chart a course to this planet, I forget the name, that's like a light year or 2 light years away, and put ourselves in these cryopods and just finally be free of this fucking planet and start a new life. At first, Rain is like, oh, no, it's so risky, it's blah, blah, blah. But then they convince her, like, well, what's the alternative? They're going to keep doing this to us. We're going to spend our whole life on this fucking mining colony and eventually drop dead here, sort of thing. So eventually they twist her arm and she decides to go along with it. So they commandeer a shuttle or a cargo hauler or something and go up to this wreckage. This wreckage is the space station that team that went to the Nostromo and extracted the xenomorph the station they went to afterwards to do research on it. So it's obvious that something went wrong on this station, and obviously it was the xenomorph that killed everybody. And but so far on it, they seem safe, and they just go about their business. And in the process of extracting the cryopods, they cause, I don't know if they're messing with the power, I forget, but they cause a thaw in some of the refrigeration systems. And what they have on this research station is a whole bunch of face huggers in cryogenic storage, and they all start to thaw. The face huggers get loose. You know what happens, right? So soon enough, they're dealing with aliens, and and they're on the run from them through this station for the rest of the movie. Now, Andy has been brought along because obviously Rain wants to take him with them, but they need him to, you know, interact with the ship and do things that they're not capable of. But in order to do that, they have to put a different chip into his socket on his neck. And when they do that, it's a Weyland-Yutani chip, and automatically his directives are protect the xenomorphs, obtain the samples, blah blah blah, right? So he's not actively harming his compatriots, but he's working against them in a way. His objective is protecting the aliens, whereas they just want to get the fuck off the thing, away from the aliens, sort of thing. So and kill them if they can. So this presents another problem. Not only do they have the aliens to deal with, but now Andy's not cooperating, sort of thing, right? So for the rest of the movie, it's just them navigating this station and trying to find a way off while still bringing the cryopods with them so that they can not just be forced to go back down to the mining colony, but after going through all this, still escape to a new life, sort of thing, right? So, but as they go along, of course, people start dropping one by one, and there's a couple of neat. I've already spoiled enough for you without saying spoiler alert at the beginning, but there's a couple of really neat sequences where some sort of alien spawning thing attaches itself to one of the walls, and it looks like just like a fucking vagina, like an alien looking vagina, and an alien is birthed out of it. It's so phallic. We were fucking killing ourselves watching this thing. And the one of the girls of Rain's friends is pregnant, and she obtains some what are going to be eventually fatal wounds. And on this research station, they were messing around with some other stuff, and like the black rain. So this extract from the aliens that can be dropped on stuff and breathed in by people, and it turns them into freaks, right? So, but they were experimenting with, oh, how can we make this to improve humans, right? So, she was like, the only way I'm going to survive is if I inject this stuff into me. So she fucking does it, and what it does though, it speeds up the pregnancy. So we actually see her give birth, and this freakish half xenomorph, half human abomination comes out of her, and that's kind of the final alien in the movie that they have to kind of fight off as they try and gain their freedom. So I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but it was pretty fucking awesome. Now, I really loved the movie. My buddies also really enjoyed it. There was so much chatter online about how awful it was, and how it's the same as all the other alien movies. It's the exact same format. And then they used a couple of lines here and there to kind of shout out to the original Alien movies. Like, I think one of the lines was, you know, get away from her, you bitch, or something like that. Like Ripley says in the Aliens movie when the alien's trying to get Newt, right? And people are complaining like, oh, they're just quoting the first movie. They're not original, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I love that kind of shit. I love it when they shout out to the original movies, like as kind of a tribute, you know, like, and, I found the movie different enough from Alien and Aliens. I didn't see, you know, that's what's going to happen when they're in space and they're on a station and the aliens hatch. They're going to be running and fucking fighting for their lives. What else do you think is going to happen? You know? So I go into everything I think I'm going to like and that I want to see with an open mind. And, you know, you may hear some chatter or stuff, but I totally discount other people's opinions now because there are so many stupid, idiotic, useless people in the world now. All they like to do is complain. That's all they want to do. They just want to fucking put stuff down, complain about everything. Yet they're so fucking stupid and useless and so devoid of talent. You will never see them make their own alien movie. You will never see them make anything worthy of anything in their whole life because they are that fucking useless of human beings. So all the people that were saying this about Romulus, ha, 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 ha. Right? So, the human race is really starting to disappoint me in so many different ways. It's a weird time in the world right now. And there's a lot of humans that, just really don't provide any sort of value to the world more and more these days. And so many entitled, uh, selfish people that it's really becoming a problem. But what do you do about it, right? So, but anyways, that's my little rant on the human race. But yeah, I saw all those comments about this movie, and I'm like, for fuck's sake, go fuck yourself, right? Like, then just don't go see it. You obviously know going into it you're not gonna like it because you're that type of person. Just do everybody a favor and don't see it and fuck off, right? That's my 2 cents. Anyways, next up, we got 3 video games to finish this up. First up, RBI Baseball 21, released in 2021, obviously. I played RBI Baseball 16 or 17 a number of years back, and I really enjoyed it. This game is not perfect by any means, and this is actually the last game in that series. They shut it down after this game. It's not without its problems, but it's also got a lot of redeeming qualities too. It's got a lot of good game modes. They got franchise mode where you can play season after season after season. You can create players. I believe you can create teams. You can play the home run derby. Like, there's lots of options to play. They got all rosters with roster updates. Like, the game has a lot of stuff in it. And what I really like about it is that it's a very quick experience where you're always engaged with the game. So people love, I think, MLB The Show right now, and it is a great looking game. I have played it before, a couple different versions of it. But what I don't like about it is that there's so much dicking around in between each pitch with the little cut scenes and blah, blah, blah. It seems like there's more watching and waiting in those types of games than there is actual playing. Where with RBI, there's very little of that dicking around. It's just pitch after pitch after pitch. It's you're always going, and I really like that pace of the game. I find that a lot more satisfying than a more realistic, authentic experience. I think this game has the concept of it down more so than something like The Show. Now, the execution is the downside of this game. There's lots of little glitches and stuff like that. Like, some of the character animations are nuts. Like, the guy will be throwing like to first base from second base. He'll like be throwing the ball like that, but he's kind of sideways, and he throws that way, and the ball shoots out of his arm that way. Like, there's lots of goofy stuff and weird overthrows and stuff that just doesn't make sense. And sometimes the commentary, like, they'll be talking about a play that's happening at the time, and what's happening on the screen that's actually happening has nothing to do with what they're talking about on the commentary. Like, it's a totally different sequence that's happening. So, like, it does have some glitches, it does have some downsides, but for the most part, it's a pretty decent looking game. It plays easy enough, and like I said, it's a nice, quick, fast-paced game that I really enjoy. So obviously I wouldn't pay a lot of money for it. I'd pay 5, 10, or sorry, 10, 15, $20 for it, and that's it. But it has a lot of fun factor in it, and like I said, a nice pace to it, and enough stuff in the game that makes it worthy of wanting to play and having fun playing, to make up for it's the glitches that it does have, sort of thing. So enjoyable. Next up, NHL 24. Similar to RBI Baseball 21, I got mixed feelings on this one. I love the NHL hockey series. I think this is the 33rd version they said online. We had them all right from the very first one on the Sega Genesis, which I played relentlessly in high school. So this is our jam in Canada, or at least it used to be. I'm not sure so much anymore. But this series is iconic. It's legendary, but they kind of fucked this game up. It looks fantastic. Sounds fantastic. There's tons of modes. There's Be a Pro, there's a franchise, there's season, there's a hockey ultimate team, there's World of Chell. I think Threes is probably in there as well. There's so much stuff. And then there's so much customization you can do with creating your own rinks and players and customizing your gear and all that stuff. There's a ton of stuff to do in this game. It's very in-depth. What they did fuck up, though, was the gameplay. They made some changes to the gameplay, um, specifically the hitting. The hitting got a lot harder. And, you know, me being me, I was never a great ice hockey player, but I love to hit people. And when I play hockey video games, I love to hit people. Hitting, to me, is one of the most important and fun and entertaining aspects of a hockey game. I love to see collisions. I love to see nastiness and guys going at each other to will themselves to victory. And it's just, it gets my motor going, you know? So when you play this game and you can barely ever hit a fucking person, it immediately becomes a lot less fun. And also, I found that it was very hard to score goals in this game. Even if you're peppering the other goalie and you're outplaying the other team, like a lot of times we'd only score 1-2 goals a game. And so many nights also our goalie seemed to have a shitty night. Even though we destroyed the other team, we'd lose 3-1, 3-2, you know? So now that's NHL hockey for you. You know, you can come out one night and totally blow the doors off a team and still find a way to lose. But that's every once in a while. It's not almost every fucking game, right? You know what I mean? So that all evens itself out. But in this game, it just seemed to be way too much of a problem to score goals and have your goalie have an off night. So that was really annoying as well. And so those are a couple of big things. Like, that really affected my opinion of this game. I did enjoy playing it, but not as much as I should. I got pissed off a lot because of these kind of downsides to it. And that kind of took away from the experience. So my favorite game of the most recent ones, I think, was NHL 20. It had the right combination of being able to score goals and also just being able to lay hit after hit after hit. So much fun. So I hope people complain about some stuff on this game and they maybe get things back on the right track. Now, like I said, though, it's an amazing looking game. Like all the concept behind it and all the execution on how it looks and sounds and feels is amazing. And some of the animations on the players now, like, they're just getting more and more elaborate. You see these weird little moves that the goalies and the skaters can make in these certain situations. You may not see them very often, only when they get in certain situations, but everything about it is so realistic now. It's come a long way, and I really found those animations really cool in this game. But like I said, overall, those two big downsides with not being able to score goals and not being able to hit as easily as you would like really took a lot away from it. So again, this is a game that would be $80, $90 when it first came out. I would never pay that again for this game if I knew it was going to be like this. This is a game that I'd maybe pay $20, $30 for, you know. So if you don't have it yet, I'm sure it's cheap as fuck now because NHL 25 is coming out in the next month or so, I think. So it's probably dropped quite a bit. So now would be a good time if you don't have 24 to pick it up, as 25 is coming out and the price is probably low. So, but still worth a play, but just don't overpay for it and be prepared to possibly have a bit of frustration going on. So last up, my buddy Simon was on vacation a while back, and he was talking to some guy, and they both played video games, so they were making game recommendations back and forth to each other. And this guy recommended a game to Simon, and he downloaded it, and then he said, "You got to get this." So I did. And the name of the game is Broforce. Broforce was originally released on PC, I believe, back in 2015, and then over the next few years, they started releasing it on console, various consoles and such. So we downloaded it on our Switch. Basically, the concept of the game is it's a side-scrolling run-and-gun kind of game, and you basically are playing as some sort of soldier, and you get your orders from your general, and the main screen is like this world map, a very cartoony looking world map, and you fly this little helicopter over these various areas, and then you kind of drop into an area. And within each area or zone, there's maybe 4 or 5 levels, and so you blaze your way through each level. And along the way, you're tasked with rescuing, not only defeating all the terrorists or whatever they are, but rescuing your fellow bros. So there's these prisoners of war scattered throughout each level that you rescue along the way. And when you get to the end of each level, there's this devil-looking guy standing there. You blow him away, a helicopter swoops in, you jump on the ladder, and you take off as the world behind you kind of explodes. So the cool thing about this game, I mean, the game's cool enough as it is, but the coolest thing about it is that you're given a countdown. So it'll say at the end of each level, okay, 5 more rescues until you unlock your next bro. So when you rescue these prisoners of war, every so often when you reach your target, you will unlock a new bro to play with. Now, you start each level with a random bro. You don't know who you're going to get. When you rescue a prisoner of war and get it and get this bro, you change. You randomly change into a new bro as you rescue each guy. And like I said, once you reach a certain amount of rescues, you unlock a new bro for play. These bros are all based on like 80s and 90s kind of action movie kind of people. So like there's 4 or 5 different Schwarzenegger bros. There's like the Predator Arnie, there's Terminator Arnie, there's Conan Arnie, maybe 1 or 2 more I'm forgetting. There's Rambo, there's John McClane from Die Hard, there's the actual Predator, there's the Kill Bill girl, there's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Xena the Warrior Princess, Blade. Like there's just so many bros. It's unbelievable. There's dozens and dozens of them, and you never know who it's going to be. We're always like, oh, who's next? And then we'd be like, oh, fuck, it's this guy, right? And each character has like bro worked into their name. Like Rambo is Rambro. The Terminator is the Brominator sort of thing, right? So it follows this whole bro theme throughout the game. So yeah, you just play through the game, and eventually the end boss is Satan. It's this big Satan monster, and you have to take him down and basically save the world, sort of thing. So, and almost every part of each level is totally destructible. So you use your weapons, you can destroy things, you can blow out the ground from underneath guys and drop them down so you can kill them. Like there's a lot of cool little strategies and things you learn, and it's just pure chaos on the screen too. There's explosions going on everywhere. Sometimes you wonder, am I still alive? Like where the fuck is my character, right? Like it's just chaos. And yeah, it was such a fun experience. The night we went to see Romulus and we slept over at Simon's house, that you can play with up to 4 players in this game. So there was the 3 of us playing this game. We fucking played for hours, and we laughed and we laughed and we laughed. It's of the 3 games I've just talked about, is easily my favorite, and I paid $18 for it. I think that's regular price, but Simon got it before me, and he got it on sale for like 11 or 13 or something like that. So it's not only cheap, but it's also amazing. So we were thinking of like every time we unlocked a new bro, we're like, oh, I hope it's this person, and so we're kind of hoping they do a second game and that they add different bros, because we thought of a whole bunch of characters they could have put in that weren't in it. So yeah, so it's just a really cool concept, perfectly executed, and just so bloody much fun. So anyways, that is the 5 things for now. I'm not sure when my next 5 things are going to be, because like I said, it has been hairy, and I doubt I'm going to have much time over the next few weeks to really get into much. But doubtless I will be back at some point to talk about the next batch of stuff I complete, and yeah, and maybe by then I might be able to shed a little more light on my situation. So stay tuned. Meow.